Hi, Stephen Lovely here with CordCutting.com. Today, we're here to talk about this, the Roku Express. Now, the Roku Express is the cheapest Roku there is. It's your entry-level version of the Roku device. But it has a lot in common with the other Roku devices that we've reviewed and we've liked, including with its own past version, which looks a little different in ways that I'll talk about in a moment. All of the Roku devices run the Roku platform, which just means the program that you see when you open the thing up. When you turn on a Roku and you look at the screen, you're going to see something like that. And it's going to look more or less the same no matter what kind of Roku device you're using. That's great news because we love the Roku platform, but that doesn't mean this is exactly like all the other Rokus. So decide whether or not this is the Roku that you want to buy, or if you even want to buy a Roku at all. Let's take a closer look. I'll unbox this, show you what it includes, and I'll talk a little bit about what it can and can't do compared to other Roku devices and other devices from other brands. Okay, let's take a quick look inside what's in our Roku Express box. Okay, now that's our lineup here. We've got the device, the wall wart for the power cord, some batteries for the remote, this is the USB cable to keep it powered, this is the HDMI cable that connects it to your TV, and this is the Roku Quick Start Guide, which we can take a look at in a moment. Now the first thing I want to point out is just how small the device itself is. Let's take a look at it. Now, you can see just in my hand how little it is. I'm starting to peel this off now. And you can also see a few important things about it. One of them is this shiny bit here. That's where you've got to point the remote. Now, some Roku remotes work no matter which direction you point them in. But that's not true of the cheaper remotes, including the one that comes with this, the cheapest Roku of all. If I peel this off, you'll see. Again, shiny bit. So the shiny bit has to hit the shiny bit. And that can matter. If you're gonna try to decide where to put this thing, you're gonna need to make sure that it can sit somewhere on your entertainment center or near your TV with this part facing out. And that's in contrast to, for example, the Roku Streaming Stick Plus, which has a point anywhere remote. You don't necessarily need to put this thing on your entertainment center because you could try to stick it to something. Roku includes some Roku branded sticky stuff to do that with. And then there is the wall wart, which I also want to talk about. This ensures that it gets the proper amount of power, but you can also get by just plugging one end of this USB power cable into the Roku and the other end into your TV, provided your TV has a USB socket like this that will provide power. That can be really convenient because that way your Roku just turns on and off whenever the TV does. Normally, this Roku will just stay on pretty much all the time, though you can reboot it by selecting the menu option to do so. One last thing to talk about before we test this thing out is the HDMI cable. And this is very basic. It's how it connects it to your TV. But the reason I wanted to mention it here is that not every Roku Express comes with one of these. Don't worry, if you buy the regular Roku Express on Amazon or in your local Best Buy, you're gonna get this version. You're gonna get the HDMI cable that most people need, but there is a version called the Roku Express Plus, which is a Walmart exclusive. And that version comes with the sort of red, yellow, and white cables that you might have used to connect your VCR back in the day. It's a good fit for older TVs, but it's not the best for newer ones where we really need one of these to connect it. So that's everything. We've made a little bit of a mess, but you can see the device, the remote, some sticky stuff, the power source, cable and plug, and the HDMI cable, and our quick start guide. We even have batteries for the remote. So let's put those in and let's test this thing out, shall we? Here's my Roku Express all set up. You'll see that it's nice and small, and then I have it sitting out so the remote can see it. Again, this is a line of sight remote, which means I can't just point it anywhere. I have to point it at the receiver right here. This remote is also missing a few other bells and whistles that the pricier remotes have. The Roku Ultra's remote has a headphone jack, for example, that's missing here. And both the Roku streaming stick and the Roku Ultra have a voice search option with a little button for a microphone that you can treat a bit like Alexa or Siri. And unfortunately that one's missing here as well. But that's okay, it's still very easy to navigate these menus and the experience is pretty much identical other than those two missing features. Let's take a look. So here's our Roku Express. You can see that it looks a lot like all the other Roku devices. You still got your tiles here for your different apps. Roku calls them channels. It's pretty responsive, moves quickly when I press the buttons, and it includes Roku's own channel. Now, of course, most of these channels, most of these apps are things that you'd have to pay for separately. Roku is more the platform. It's the device that you watch the services on. But Roku does include some stuff out of the box, including its own content here on the Roku channel, which aggregates some free stuff from other content providers. Let's see how fast this loads. Pretty quick. Definitely slower than on the other more expensive Roku devices we've tested, but still pretty impressive. All told, you're gonna get a pretty good experience here for a pretty low price. Keep in mind that it's a Wi-Fi only device and that it's just not gonna be quite as powerful as some of these other pricier Roku options. The chip inside is just not as good as some of the bigger, more expensive versions. But again, you saw it was pretty quick, and that holds true for these other apps as well. Over here, off the side of the main screen, we have the vertical menu that Roku stashes some extra stuff in. You'll find the settings here where you can change your Wi-Fi network and do other things that tweak the actual experience, the tools and the settings that you have here. Here you have some special offers where Roku will try to sell you more things. That's the Roku Express right there. And you have the streaming channels, which again, channels is just Roku's term for app. So if you add these, you'll be able to add more options for streaming, though of course the paid versions will have to be subscribed to separately, though you can also do that through your Roku. They don't come free with the Roku. This is your search function. You'll have to move the little directional buttons and type things out because we don't have the ability to speak into the remote, at least not with the default remote that comes with this Roku Express. But you can see that you can still find apps as well as movies and other entertainment-based queries. You can even search by movie star. You can misspell Star Wars like I just did. Here's the movie store and the TV store where you can rent things. These work just like Amazon or any of the other options that you have for renting and buying films. Very similar, for example, to Google Play. It's just that Roku has a special deal that puts it here. And that's about it. Most of your time is going to be spent here, and I think it's a very nice, simple interface, a little reminiscent of Apple's tvOS, which is what Apple's TV uses. But you know, very straightforward, very easy. And if you ever get over here, you can just click right back to the right, and you'll be in this main screen. All these apps are synced across multiple devices if you use the Roku account. So Roku will remember which ones you have and which ones you downloaded. So if you get a new Roku and sign in, which is a very easy process, it will automatically download your apps for you again. All in all, a really good experience here for a very low price. Very reminiscent of the pricier Roku devices. Of course, it's missing some of the bells and whistles, but still a really good experience. So there you have it, the Roku Express. It's not the most powerful device in the world, but it doesn't need to be. It's designed to be an affordable way to get your foot in the door with the Roku platform, and it does exactly that. In our trials, it did pretty well on a Wi-Fi connection. It wasn't as speedy as the Roku Ultra, but it was pretty strong, and it was all we needed for most of the streaming that we do. If you're looking for an affordable device to add to your TV, maybe you even already have a Roku Ultra or a competitor device and want to do something for your other TV in a guest room, then this is perfect. You don't need to spend $100. Unless of course you want to, in which case you should check out our videos on the Roku Ultra. We've unboxed that one too, and we've reviewed it on cordcutting.com. So we'll see you on cordcutting.com, and give us a like and a subscribe if you have the time. Once again, I'm Stephen Lovely for cordcutting.com. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today.